That's probably going to be the main one. So you'll be okay.
No big deal.
No big deal.
It's Adonis. Okay, anyway.
Right.
Alright, back for another episode of Crosstalk. I'm Tim.
I'm Chris.
And today we're talking about movie Easter eggs. Not Easter the holiday, but the kinds of Easter eggs that you find in films
Yes.
that reference other pop culture.
Incidentally, if you Google movie Easter eggs, you can literally find Easter eggs that are painted like movie, like Captain America and Iron Man, stuff like that. So yes.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
As I was researching this, that's how I came across it. So there we go.
Now I know.
All right.
Okay, so Chris, today I'm
Yes.
super excited. This is probably one of my favorite topics that we've done.
Yeah, I love Easter eggs too in films. They're so.
So I was
So
thinking we should just run through a bunch of examples,
I agree.
and I'm going to give you the floor first,
Okay.
and then I know, or rather I suspect, that you'll have a lot of horror film examples.
Yes.
So I'm
I
going
will.
to try and offset that by not talking about horror films, even though I have a few examples that I could pull as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just begin with one that is near and dear to my heart, as it involves Evil Dead, and as anybody who watches this video knows that I'm a huge Evil Dead fan and Bruce Campbell fan, of course.
Yeah.
So it's a big long stretch, so stick with me. So how it started is that Wes Craven put a poster of Jaws in The Hills Have Eyes to say that he felt that his movie is scarier than Jaws. Right. In response to that, I guess Sam Raimi's a big fan of Jaws, because he put a poster of The Hills Have Eyes in the cabin in Evil Dead to say that this is not as scary as my movie. So Wes Craven, then in Nightmare on Elm Street, put a ripped poster of Evil Dead in his film to take a shot back.
Right.
Then Sam Raimi in Evil Dead 2 put Freddy's glove in the tool shed in Evil Dead 2, which was awesome. It was a great reference. Also, there is, to connect that whole thing, right before, I know that they were at one point going to do Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. They had a script and everything. I read it. So it was pretty cool. They had a reference in Jason Goes to Hell, at which point New Line had bought from Paramount the license to Jason. So, and New Line makes Nightmare on Elm Street. So, in that film, when Jason goes back to his rundown house, the Necronomicon from Evil Dead is just sitting there.
Yeah. So
it's like a great little reference to that as well. There's also, for me, Cabin in the Woods, the whiteboard. They have zombies, witches, deadites from Evil Dead. They have a whole bunch. They have mummies. They have like a whole bunch of a whole bunch. You have to pause it and read it all, because it's that inclusive, and it's a really funny. It's a nice touch. Another horror movie, The Mist. At the beginning, the main character, played by Thomas Jane, he's an artist. He does old school movie posters, and he is painting the gunslinger from the Dark Tower series as it appears on the books, which of course Stephen King writes, and he wrote The Mist. So that's like a few horror movies as well. Predator 2, even though it's not really a horror movie, sci-fi but horror elements. He's got a skull of xenomorph. Of course that led in his trophy room. Of course that led to Alien vs Predator after, and of course Shaun of the Dead's just filled with them. Like, we're coming to get you, Barbara. Just like Night of the Living Dead. So yeah, and there's a whole bunch more in there as well.
And that's what I was gonna say, is that probably every franchise that has, or every horror franchise has, tons of Easter eggs embedded throughout them. And horror is really self-referential. Yeah. And Cabin in the Woods has a whole bunch of other ones too, like the character that looks just like Pinhead. Yeah. That's just another one. Like, I mean, they of course have werewolves. Although they never called them that, one of the murderous people in there, they're meant to be representation of Reavers from Firefly, a Joss Whedon show, and he co-wrote Cabin in the Woods. So little things like that, they're pretty awesome. It is an awesome movie for that reason.
Yeah,
I think there's tons of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So okay, so now that we've kind of let you get all this off your chest.
Yeah, because I love horror, and there's so self-referential, and so many great Easter eggs, but yeah.
Okay, let's talk about a bunch of other examples that I can kind of come up with off the top of my head. So, the movie The Departed, Martin Scorsese.
Yep.
So he took that movie from another. Is it Chinese movie? I can't remember if it was
Yes,
Chinese.
it's not it's not The Informant. It's, oh god, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I just can't remember the name of it. Internal Affairs.
Internal Affairs. So that movie is basically a beat for beat remake of that Internal Affairs.
Yeah.
But one thing that movie does different is the looming foreshadowing to all the deaths that happen throughout it. And in every instance before a character's about to die, and I think this is a really cool Easter egg. So go back and watch it when you watch the movie next time.
Yeah.
Every character has an X somewhere on screen with them, just preceding the scene where they're murdered.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing little touch, right?
Yeah. So, and pretty much everybody in that movie dies. So there's tons of X's laden throughout the film.
Yeah, exactly.
Another one that I really thought was cool was in the first Kill Bill movie, as the bride is boarding to go to Japan, she has her boarding pass in the scene, and it's like one of those things that Quentin Tarantino does, is he'll just have like little snippets of minutia of the action that's taking place.
Yeah. And
so it shows her boarding pass, and it actually says Beatrix Kiddo on there. So we're not told her full name until the second movie, and Bill refers to her as Kiddo at the beginning of the movie, but we didn't realize that was her real name. So we get her full name before we think we get it.
Yeah.
Another one that I think is really cool is in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
As Indy's uncovering the Ark of the Covenant, there's actually a hieroglyph of C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yeah,
on the side of the wall.
Yeah, I'll give you another Indiana Jones reference too, to not make all my list about horror. In Temple of Doom, right at the beginning, the club that he goes to is called Club Obi-Wan. So I thought it was so obviously another Star Wars reference inside of Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Another really good one that I got really excited about when I read this, and I didn't realize it until I actually looked at screenshots of the film, but in the movie Fight Club, and I guess this is something that happens in all of those scenes, but there's a coffee cup in every scene of the film from Starbucks.
Yeah.
And the director is, I forget the director's name, but
David Lynch.
David Lynch, thank you.
Yeah.
He says of the reason why he did that is that when Starbucks first came around, he was really excited about it because you couldn't get a good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But eventually it got to the point where Starbucks was on every corner, and there's 2 or 3 of them or something crazy like that. So he was kind of referencing the fact that there's Starbucks everywhere in that, because it is a film talking about culture and identity and ideation and things like that. So it makes sense that he would place something subtle like that in the film, but it's just a cool little Easter egg. So one
of the ones that I do want to do one more horror one, because I always like this horror to sci-fi, and again it's Army of Darkness. The magic words that he has to say, and he has to say them twice in the film, Klaatu Barada Nikto, which is the words that have to be said to shut down the robot in the day that are stood still. So it's it's a nice little. I always like that nice little Easter egg. But another one I really like, not horror at all, from Disney's live action Cinderella, and at the ball where Cinderella and the prince have the big dance and everything. Yeah. The dresses of all, they're bringing princesses from different lands to trying to marry him too, because he's got to marry royalty, right?
Yeah.
They have a different color representing every Disney princess. So they have green, they have pink, they have blue. Like, they have all the colors that the different Disney princesses wore. And I didn't know this until I actually watched the extras on the Blu-ray. Oh, yeah. This guy's like, he's like, just totally on purpose. So you have Princess Tiana, and like one for Belle, and like one for...
it's the exact same color and everything?
Yeah. Like same. So Yeah, it was done on purpose just to represent the other Disney princesses, like just
Wow.
paying homage to it in the live action
That's
adaptation. So I really liked it.
Okay. No, that's really good. That's a really good example, and I'm glad that it wasn't a horror one. Okay, so I have 3 more.
Cool. All right.
And then I have a horror one in there as well.
Yeah, but I feel like your horror one's a Christmas movie.
So we'll save it. We'll save it. I'm not going to say it just yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with the one that I'm least excited about first. But
Okay.
I think it's really cool, interesting, and kind of poignant. So in the movie Bruce Almighty,
Yeah.
you remember the scene where he has all the powers of God and he is getting all these prayers sent to him and he's trying to figure out how to digest this?
Yes.
So he's like, oh, do I do filing cabinets or do I, get emails or do I do Post-its or whatever? So the point when he's doing the Post-it thing,
Yeah.
and they do it for comedic effect because it plasters the whole room, in millions of Post-its,
Mhm.
including Bruce and the dog and everything. So he's covered in all these Post-its. But I guess when they filmed that scene, it was filmed on the same day or within a couple days of 9/11.
Yeah.
And they asked everyone on set to write notes and prayers for their loved ones, or asking for help or whatever related to that
Yeah.
event. And so they had all these Post-its, and they were all real prayers. They were all real things people were asking for.
Oh, nice.
So it has this really poignant,
Deeper meaning.
meaning to it now.
Yeah, that's a really good
And
Easter
it
egg.
adds a really cool layer to the film because it's real. Like it's real wishes that people have.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
So that's one that I was excited about, and then another one that I'm really excited about is because I try really hard to never talk about this movie franchise, but I feel like today's a day that I'm going to do it because this is an Easter treat to myself. In the original The Fast and the Furious.
Oh yeah, because we never talk about this.
There's this scene where the guys are sitting and having popcorn and watching a movie, and then Brian O'Connor and Mia are in the kitchen cleaning up dishes, and then Vince comes in, and then I don't need to tell you the whole story, but so then after he's leaving, after getting shot down by Mia, and she asks Brian on a date, he leaves and he's really pissed and he says, "Make your own popcorn." And they're watching this movie, and you can't really tell what it is, but I always wondered what the movie was until I finally did the research and looked it up, and I guess it's from this story called Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which is directed by Rob Cohen,
Yeah.
who also directed The Fast and the Furious.
Well, there you go.
So it's this kind of neat little Easter egg embedded in the story, and I feel like Sing might appreciate that.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a nice little action and he's a huge Bruce Lee fan.
It's an action reference inside an action movie.
Yeah. That's really cool.
So that is my second most exciting
So
one.
let's get to the elephant in the room too.
So the last one that I'm most excited about, and this is something. Okay, so just so you guys know, we did a little bit of research before we did this episode, and Chris and I were looking this up, and I discovered this, and we both looked at it together, and we were so surprised and so excited about this.
Because we had never noticed it, and we've seen this film.
And it's like an amazing.
So many
it's
times.
one of my favorite Christmas movies.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
In the movie Gremlins, so in the scene when Billy's dad is talking to his mom at the conference or convention or whatever, where he's at the Inventors Convention.
Yes.
There's all these little props and things from sci-fi movies,
Like the robot from Lost in Space walks by, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But then there's the other one,
which is from the movie Time Machine.
The actual Time Machine.
The actual Time Machine from the movie Time Machine. So
you're like, hey, cool, all these old science fiction things.
Yeah, and you can see them the guy's testing out the time machine, and he's got the wheel going and all that stuff. And when we're watching it, we're just thinking, oh yeah, they're just playing with it and it's a prop.
Yeah.
But when we watched it this time, after learning about this Easter egg, you watch the scene, you realize that he's actually activating the time machine.
Yeah, because they have it there, then they cut back to the conversation.
Yeah.
And then they cut back to him.
Yeah.
And
they cut back to the dad at the conference.
They cut from the dad back to the mom, back to the dad again.
Yeah.
And when they cut back the second time,
the time machine's gone.
The time machine's
gone.
And
there's smoke everywhere. And there's
somebody's looking for it. It's an amazing Easter egg that I've never seen in this, and I've seen this film too
a dozen
times to count, right?
A dozen times or more.
Yeah, at least. And you never notice it until now, and I'm like, that is an amazing Easter egg. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was a good point to end on, because it's like, for example, why Easter eggs exist, because then you hear about them and you want to go watch the movie.
And now, like, I want to go back and watch Gremlins so I can notice it and, like, sit down with somebody who also likes Gremlins and say, watch this right now, because it's just an amazing little bit.
Great.
Yeah.
So I think the last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is, you mentioned Cinderella.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about Cinderella, I immediately started thinking about Disney and all the things that Disney does really well, which is they are very self-referential.
Yes.
And Pixar Studios, which is a facet of Disney, also does this, right?
Yes.
So every Pixar and Disney movie, you'll always see little hints from other existing stories or for up-and-coming films.
Yes.
And, as a kid, that gets you excited because you feel like you're part of something special and you get to experience something that maybe not everyone's going to see.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, growing up, maybe that's why I'm not gonna assume that for you, but for me, I feel like that may be partly why I get excited about Easter eggs, is because...
Yeah, no, I'd say that's probably a fair assumption, too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they do a very good job of it, and it's usually it can be pretty subtle, like, a balloon from up or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like showing up in the next one, showing up in Big Hero 6 or something.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, they usually do it fairly so. Or, like, their pizza delivery truck, like, being in every single movie or something like that. Or they'll reference the lamp, like, a lot. They'll do that a lot, too. So, yeah, I mean...
And I will say this one last thing, just to re-emphasize the point. An Easter egg is not a cameo.
No, it's not. It is, like, what's it, in...
Well, we were talking about Erin Brokovich, I think, is
so Erin, this is the best example. Erin Brokovich, being in Erin Brokovich is not an Easter egg.
Yeah.
It was probably one of those things where the studio and like one of the things to seal the deal with buying our movie rights to make it into a film. How about we toss you in the film
as a cameo?
That is a cameo. Alfred Hitchcock in all of his films.
Cameos.
They're cameos. It is not an Easter egg.
It's only an Easter egg if you don't, like... I guess I could see how someone could interpret it as an Easter egg.
Yeah.
But it's not technically an Easter egg.
No, it's they're cameoing in their own film.
Yeah. So so everyone knows.
Yeah.
That's a sticking point with me. So I just wanted to.
Well, that's a sticking point with both of us. Yeah. So anyway. So I think, like I said, I think we covered it off, but I'll let you summarize it first. So agree or disagree? Do you agree with our assessment that cameos are not Easter eggs? Please feel free to discuss and argue with us in the comments below, suggesting Easter eggs that you love, or like and share the video, and best of all, subscribe to the channel.
Until next time, I'm Tim.
And I'm Chris.
And this is Crosstalk.